The €1.9 billion Wirecard accounting scandal, 2020, Germany. They say trust is the most valuable currency in the world. Not gold. Not money. Trust. It settles hearts before it settles accounts. And sometimes, the most dangerous kind of thief is the one who earns trust first, slowly, sweetly, until the whole world feels safe placing its future in their hands. Wirecard. Wirecard was a name that once sounded like hope. In Germany, people believed it was the next big thing, a star rising in the cold sky of European finance. A company that promised the future of payments, digital wallets, and security in a world racing towards screens and clicks. And when a company comes promising a new future, it draws dreamers, investors, governments, believers. Wirecard did not start like a giant. Back in 1999, it began as a small payment processor, helping online businesses move money across borders and platforms. At first, it whispered its name quietly. Then it spoke louder. Soon it shouted. And the world listened. People in Germany were proud. Europe, for once, seemed to have its own tech hero. Not just Silicon Valley shining bright, Munich had its star too. The company grew so fast, its stock flew high like a bird that no one believed could fall. And at the top of this miracle stood a confident man, Markus Braun, the CEO. Soft-spoken, glasses that made him look like a thinker, always calm, always sure. He sold a story of innovation, of trust, of safety. He told the world he could control digital money the way a shepherd controls sheep. Calm, gentle, wise. Many believed he saw the future. But even wise voices can hide sharp teeth. Even calm water can hide deep darkness. Wirecard's numbers kept rising. Profits. Growth. Market cap. Headlines glowing like candlelight in a dark room. The German media praised it. Politicians supported it. Banks trusted it. Analysts, many of them, bowed to it. Wirecard became part of the DAX index, sitting proudly among Germany's biggest, most respected companies. And the higher a story lifts hope, the harder it falls when truth arrives. Rumors started like faint wind on a quiet mountain. Small investors whispered questions. Some journalists sniffed around. But every time doubt tried to step forward, Wirecard fought back with lawyers and loud denials. They did not answer questions, they smashed them. They attacked critics. They silenced voices. They painted doubters as enemies of progress. And that is how many tragedies begin. Not with lies spoken loudly, but with truth whispered weakly, ignored because the dream is sweeter than the reality. People trusted Wirecard. They trusted Markus Braun. They trusted numbers printed in bold ink. But what if the numbers were a mask? What if the profits came from shadows? What if the trust was built on sand instead of stone? In Asia, Wirecard claimed to run big operations. Huge money moving through the Philippines, Singapore, Dubai. Profits flowed from far-off lands, or so they said. But truth has a way of pushing through, like light squeezing through a cracked door. A simple question changed everything. Where is the money? For years, Wirecard reported billions held safely in Asian bank accounts, trust kept safely offshore. But when investigators tried to see it, the accounts seemed to vanish, like fog in sunlight. Bank officers denied knowing anything. Paper trails crumbled. And suddenly, the world that believed so deeply felt the first sting of doubt. Had Wirecard lied? Had the numbers been illusions? Had the miracle been a trick? Ah, yes. 1.9 billion euros. A mountain of money so large it could build kingdoms. But one day, it simply wasn't there. Wirecard announced it. The world gasped. And trust, once like stone, shattered like thin glass. But we are getting ahead. Before the fall came, there were warnings, brave voices fighting against silence, digging through darkness. Voices that were mocked, threatened, and hunted. You will meet them soon. For now, picture a world blinded by hope. A nation proud. Investors dreaming. A CEO smiling. and a company standing tall like a golden statue, unaware that cracks had already formed deep inside its core. When a story grows too perfect, too smooth, too shiny, remember this lesson. The brightest light can cast the darkest shadow. And in the heart of Wirecard, a shadow was growing, silent and patient and unstoppable. The stage was set. Trust was thick in the air. The world believed this company couldn't fall. But someone, somewhere, was already pulling at the thread that would unravel it all. Stories of crime often begin with greed. But sometimes they begin with doubt, one small seed planted in soil that everyone else thought was perfect. In this tale, that seed was planted by reporters. Curious, stubborn, hungry for truth. You see, Wirecard did not fall because someone discovered a single lie. It fell because a few people refused to stop asking questions. Questions that echoed through corridors of wealth and power, questions that kept growing louder. In London, the Financial Times began to look closer. One journalist, Dan McCrum, heard whispers, irregular accounting, strange partners in faraway places, money that seemed to appear like magic and disappear just as quickly. Most ignored these whispers. But McCrum listened. He leaned in. And once you lean toward truth, you cannot unhear it. Wirecard tried to silence him. They accused him of lying, of spreading rumors to harm the company. They sent lawyers. They hired private investigators. Powerful forces circled him like wolves in a snowy forest, trying to frighten him back into silence. Meanwhile, inside Wirecard's walls, fear was growing. There was a man named Jan Marsalek, the COO. Charming. Bold. A shadow beside Marcus Braun. If Braun was the face of trust, Marsalek was the quiet force moving behind the curtain. He knew things, secret things. Where the money moved. Who handled it. How to hide it. Some called him brilliant. Others whispered dangerous. When the Financial Times released early reports hinting that Wirecard's profits might be fake, many didn't believe. Germany's financial authority, BaFin, even went so far as to investigate the journalists instead of the company. Imagine that. The watchdog protecting the powerful instead of the truth. Why? Pride, perhaps. Or fear. Or the simple stubborn belief that a shining star could not fall. But doubt spread. Investors grew restless. Short sellers, traders who bet on companies to fail, circled like birds sensing a storm. The air thickened with tension, like a sky waiting to break. Wirecard fought back hard. Statements, press conferences, angry promises. Marcus Braun stood calm, like a priest promising salvation. Marsalek worked silently behind closed doors, assuring everyone that Asian banks held the money safely. Yet something felt wrong. Investigators in Singapore raided Wirecard offices. Questions tightened like a noose. And then, the moment came. The company announced that the 1.9 billion euros reported in the Philippines might not exist. Might not exist. Such small words for such a big hole. Bank officials in Manila denied holding the funds. Emails turned out fake. Signatures forged. And in that moment, panic entered the world like cold wind through a broken window. People who trusted Wirecard felt their hearts drop. Germany, proud and confident, stood stunned. How could a company so big, so respected, lose billions like coins slipping through fingers? Marcus Braun resigned. A face that once symbolized calm now looked shaken, pale. Investors watched in horror as the stock crashed, wiping out fortunes overnight. Families lost savings. Retirement dreams evaporated. Hope turned into anger. And Marsalek? He vanished. One day he sat in meetings, cool and confident. The next, he disappeared like a ghost, leaving behind rumors, Russia, intelligence contacts, secret flights, dangerous friends. Some say he planned his escape long before the truth broke. Some believe he still hides in the shadows of another country, guarded by powerful men who prefer silence. Wirecard collapsed in 2020, bankrupt, broken, exposed. A mighty company revealed as a hollow shell. The first major firm in Germany's DAX index to fall like this. and its fall shook belief in the system itself. Investors asked, "If this could happen here, what else is hidden?" Officials scrambled. Apologies floated like feathers in a storm, too late, too light. And Dan McCrum, once attacked, doubted, threatened, stood vindicated. His truth had cut through a wall of lies. But truth, even when victorious, is sometimes lonely. Because behind the collapse lay real people, real pain, employees shocked, families hurt, trust shattered. There is a moment in every great scandal when silence breaks. When whispers rise into voices, and voices into storms. And for Wirecard, that moment came inside quiet office rooms and long, sleepless nights, not with shouting, but with fear. Picture this, an office in Munich. Modern glass walls. Calm corporate art. The kind of place where problems are supposed to be solved, not created. Employees arrive each morning, scanning badges, smiling politely, believing they work for a rising giant. But beneath polite smiles, something else lived: tension. Rumors. Eyes that avoided meeting too long, as if truth might spill out accidentally. Wirecard had grown too big too fast. Deals in Asia nobody could fully explain. Partners whose names seemed to change whenever someone asked questions. Money moving like lightning, fast, bright, but impossible to touch. Inside those walls, some people knew pieces of the truth, but only pieces. Each one like a shard of glass. Sharp. Dangerous. And if you held too many, you could bleed. Some employees noticed strange documents. Numbers that didn't match. Payments without real customers behind them. They asked questions. Quietly at first. Only to trusted colleagues. But Wirecard wasn't a place where questions lived long. Anyone who dug too deep felt something push back. A cold wall of silence. Or worse, crowded pressure disguised as loyalty. Don't worry. Everything is under control. Trust the process. And in big companies, those words can feel like chains. Meanwhile, far away in Asia, truth was bubbling. In Singapore, investigators circled. In the Philippines, bank officers stared at documents with signatures they did not remember signing. Something wasn't just wrong, it was bold, sloppy, and desperate. Fake documents with bank logos. Emails pretending to confirm billions. Bank accounts that vanished when someone tried to check them. It wasn't clever fraud. It was fearful fraud, the kind created when a lie has grown too big to control. Inside Wirecard, pressure rose like heat in a sealed room. Marcus Braun, the calm voice of confidence, continued smiling publicly. He spoke of innovation, technology, the future of payments. His tone soft, steady, like someone watering a plant already wilting at the roots. And then there was Jan Marsalek. Marsalek moved differently. He didn't like attention in the way CEOs do. He lived in shadows, meeting quietly with government contacts, intelligence figures, private operatives. A man fascinated by power, secrets, borders. Some say he traveled to conflict zones. Some whisper he liked knowing things no one else did. And when questions grew louder, Marsalek didn't calm down, he tightened control. One employee in Singapore tried to report irregularities. Another in Germany raised alarms internally. Instead of applause, they met resistance. Some were pushed aside. Others pressured. Wirecard didn't just ignore warnings, it smothered them. Journalists continued digging. Investors started shaking. But still, the official world, banks, regulators, politicians, stood mostly silent. Wirecard was considered a German success story. And nobody likes watching their star crack. The truth, however, does not need permission to arrive. The day came when auditors, the ones meant to verify the company's accounts, tried to confirm Wirecard's cash. 1.9 billion euros, supposedly sitting safely overseas. A number so huge it could drown doubt, if only it had been real. But when auditors called the banks in Manila, they did not hear confirmation. They heard confusion, surprise, and finally, denial. "We do not hold these funds." That phrase traveled like lightning across the financial world. First a spark. Then a shock. Then a firestorm. Inside Wirecard headquarters, panic began to creep. Phones rang. Executives whispered behind closed doors. Eyes darted. Sweat appeared on brows that once stayed calm. The lie had broken. Marcus Braun resigned. His face, once confident and measured, looked tired and strained in public appearances. He had been the calm conductor of a financial symphony. Now he stood before cameras like someone dropped into ice water. The world watched. Investors didn't just lose money. They lost trust. Retirement accounts vanished. Life savings evaporated. Wirecard stock didn't fall, it collapsed, like a building whose foundation turns to dust. And in the middle of all this chaos, Jan Marsalek disappeared. Not slowly. Not clumsily. One moment he was there, the next he was gone, slipping across borders, leaving confusion in his wake. A whisper here. A shadow there. Some say Austria. Others say Moscow. Rumors of intelligence contacts. Networks protecting him. A ghost walking through the cracks of nations. Meanwhile, ordinary employees gathered in hallways, staring at screens, texting loved ones. Some cried quietly at their desks. Others left the building carrying boxes, heads down. They had believed. They had trusted. They had dreams tied to Wirecard's rise, and watched them fall like glass dropped from a rooftop. Wirecard filed for insolvency. The first major DAX company in history to collapse from fraud. Regulators scrambled. Politicians pointed fingers. Everyone looked for someone to blame. But the truth was simple. Lies grew bigger than the people telling them. This wasn't just a financial failure. It was a collapse of trust. A moment when the world looked at a shining symbol of innovation and saw only dust and shadows. And somewhere, far from headlines, courtrooms, and broken investor accounts, a man who once sat at the heart of it all walked unseen. Marsalek knew where the secrets lived. And secrets are the only currency that never loses value in the dark. When the storm hit, the world expected answers. But instead, it found confusion, anger, and questions that felt like claw marks on the doors of power. Wirecard was gone, snapped like a branch under too much weight. But after the collapse came the hunt. Who knew what and when? Who participated? Who watched silently? And who helped the lies grow? In government buildings, faces turned pale. Wirecard wasn't some small startup. It was tied into Germany's prestige. Politicians had praised it. Bank regulators trusted it. Big firms invested in it. And nobody wanted to admit they'd been fooled by a perfect smile and shiny promises. Regulators faced harsh questions. Why did they defend the company instead of investigating it? Why did they target journalists instead of financial records? Why were warnings ignored? Silence hung heavy in hearing rooms. Answers came slow and nervous. People shifted in seats. Microphones caught half sentences. Apologies sounded like rehearsed lines, not real regret. Meanwhile, investigators searched Wirecard offices, pulling files, hard drives, documents. They followed digital footprints like hunters in a snowy forest. Emails. Transfers. Shell companies. Paper trails leading to doors that locked right before they arrived. And every trail had one name circling like a ghost, Marsalek. He wasn't just missing, he seemed to be everywhere and nowhere. Reports emerged of him flying out of Austria on a private jet using diplomatic help. Rumors formed about ties to intelligence circles in Russia. Whispers said he knew too much to ever return. Marsalek didn't behave like a businessman running from police. He behaved like a man moving through secret corridors, guided by hands unseen. Back in Germany, courts moved fast. Marcus Braun was arrested. Executives questioned. Emails poured into evidence rooms, thousands of messages painting a picture of control, manipulation, and pressure to keep the illusion alive. But Braun stayed calm. He denied knowing about fraud. He said he trusted the numbers. Trusted processes. Trusted Marsalek. A quiet voice claiming blindness. Some believed him. Others didn't. And the employees, The everyday workers who came in for coffee, typed emails, believed in the dream, they found themselves standing outside the building one last time. Holding phones. Reading news. Numb. Some had worked there for a decade. Some gave their youth to the company. Now they stood in the cold, watching reporters, feeling their lives shaken. Not criminals. Not villains. Just people caught in the middle of a story they didn't write. Investors spoke out online. Forums filled with anger. Disbelief. People asking how billions could vanish without anyone noticing. The financial world felt embarrassed. Angry. Vulnerable. And then something else happened, something deeper. Trust cracked. If Wirecard could fool banks, regulators, governments, who else could? People looked at financial systems not like shining machines, but like fragile glass structures, easy to fracture. Trust in markets shook. Politicians promised reforms. Committees formed. Reports written. But reports don't heal wounds. Time does. And even time moves slowly when the betrayal feels personal. Through it all, the media played footage of Brown's calm face, and whispers of Marsalek's shadowy escape rolled through newsrooms like wind through empty streets. Wirecard became a symbol, not of success, but of hidden danger beneath success. Whispers continued long after the collapse. About data operations, intelligence links, covert networks. And one question grew louder each week. Was this just corporate fraud? Or something bigger? And if Marsalek really knew everything, who is protecting him now? In stories like this, the noise eventually fades. Headlines shrink. Crowds move on. But behind the silence, shadows keep moving. Wirecard may have fallen, but the people tied to it, their paths did not all end in bright rooms and open doors. After the collapse, investigators pulled apart the company's remains like archaeologists at a crash site. Every file, every email, every encrypted chat, examined, documented, replayed. They traced money through shell companies, across borders, into accounts with names that did not match real faces. It was like chasing smoke. You could see it clearly, but grab it, and it would slip through your fingers. Marcus Braun went from powerful CEO to sitting in courtrooms under bright lights, wearing a suit but carrying a different weight now, the silence of someone watched by the world. Cameras flashed when he arrived. Sheets of legal papers stacked around him like walls of paper armor. He spoke calmly, almost mechanically, repeating that he trusted the numbers, trusted the systems, trusted his partner. He denied knowing the fraud. Denied seeing warning signs. Denied that Wirecard was built on lies. And in every sentence, the same theme repeated, trust. But trust without proof becomes suspicion. Witnesses testified. Former employees shared what they saw, or thought they saw, before being pushed aside. Some voices trembled. Some spoke steadily. Some carried scars of loyalty torn apart. And then the name that never left the room, Marsalek. He wasn't present. His chair sat empty. But in every testimony, every doubt, every unanswered question, his shadow stretched long across the courtroom floor. Officials tried to follow his escape. They tracked flight logs, watched border reports, searched for traces online. But every lead dissolved into a fog of secret networks and governments who did not answer calls. A private plane from Austria. Then Belarus. Then, nothing certain. Just whispers about Moscow apartments under guard, training camps, intelligence briefings. Marsalek became less a man and more a ghost story told in political hallways. Meanwhile, investors waited. Parents. Teachers. Small business owners. Retirees. Some watched their life savings vanish in a single week. Numbers on screens shrinking until they looked like mistakes. But they were not mistakes. They were gone. Wirecard was not a story of villains and victims. It was a story of belief gone too far, confidence stretched like thin ice, until one step cracked everything. People online searched for anything, someone to blame, a reason, a hint of closure. Forums filled with theories. Some claimed it was incompetence. Others insisted it was corruption. A few whispered that Wirecard had become a tool in hands much bigger than finance, intelligence agencies, geopolitical games, quiet wars fought without soldiers. Nobody could prove those theories. But nobody could dismiss them either. In meetings inside government offices, red-faced officials argued. Committees demanded accountability. Reports recommended reforms. But the public didn't want procedure, they wanted truth. Truth, however, is slow sometimes. And impatient hearts rarely wait quietly. Outside Wirecard headquarters in Munich, the logo was removed. The glass building stood hollow, empty desks visible through the windows. Dust settled on chairs where ideas once sat. A company once called the future of European fintech now looked like a set of abandoned bones. Some employees found new jobs. Others struggled. A few suffered depression. One or two still believed Wirecard had been misunderstood, victims of attacks, not criminals. Because even after truth rises, some people cling to what felt safe. Humans don't let go of belief easily, especially when belief once promised a better life. In the financial world, Wirecard left behind bruises. Regulators changed rules. Banks tightened reviews. Germany's image as a cautious, disciplined economy took a hit, a scar rarely spoken but never forgotten. If a company can fake billions here, where else can it happen? And still, the biggest questions lingered like smoke after a fire. How did it get so far? How many people looked away? And was this truly just a fraud, or part of something larger? Evidence pointed to fake profits. Sham companies. Lied about accounts. But other trails pointed somewhere deeper: intelligence contacts, strange trips, encrypted conversations, foreign interests with quiet smiles. Every scandal has layers. Some peel away under lights. Some stay hidden underground, where secrets grow quietly, like roots under old stones. In the final years, Marsalek liked to speak about complicated things: border conflicts, private military groups, refugee intelligence networks. He spoke not like a businessman, but like someone studying power. Someone who believed knowledge could turn into protection. He once had access to Europe's financial systems, government leaders, technology secrets. If he still holds that information, then his value doesn't vanish with Wirecard's bankruptcy. It becomes something else, a shield. And a shield can keep someone invisible for a very long time. Wirecard is over as a company. But as a story? No. It isn't finished. Some trials continue. Some investigations open, then close, then reopen again. Courtrooms echo with half-truths. Files sit in locked cabinets. And somewhere, a man with answers moves quietly, deeper into the dark. Because sometimes, the real ending isn't the fall. It's the silence that follows, when the world listens for footsteps, and hears none. Wirecard's rise promised a future. Its fall revealed the truth. In a world built on digital trust, the biggest danger is not money vanishing, it's certainty vanishing. And once certainty breaks, everything feels like it could break. If you found this story gripping, remember, this is just one case in a world where power, money, and secrets move quietly every single day. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive into the hidden stories shaping our world.